Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this time I'm going to talk a little bit about, as I have before, some comic book oriented books. They're not comics themselves. And these are going to be some books from the Further Adventures of series of anthology books commissioned and edited by Martin H. Greenberg. But before we get started with that, I want to remind you that if you so desire and if you would like to help support this channel and get something in return, you can get one of these or others hand-drawn private commission drawings on character cards, 5 by 8 inch, an original piece of artwork for very reasonably priced, just for you, or as a gift for a friend or relative. Just contact me in the comments below, leaving your email address, or contact me at my email address here. And we'll see what we can work up for you. Here you can see some of these books from Martin H. Greenberg. He edited these and a bunch of other books. And Martin H. Greenberg, he was from 1941 to 2011. He was a university professor in political science. And apparently he is an expert on terrorism in the Middle East. But he was also an anthologist. And he started doing anthologies in 1974, covering many genres, but especially speculative fiction. Ooh. And he compiled almost 1,300 anthologies, 1,298 anthologies, and commissioned over 8,200 short stories for them. And he was the founder of Techno Books and the co-founder of the Sci-Fi Channel. Ooh. So he was a busy fellow. So the first one I want to take a look at here is The Further Adventures of Batman. It's 14 all-new adventures of the Caped Crusader, edited by Martin H. Greenberg. And they had a variety of stories at the same time. Now, this is from 1989 with a Kyle Baker painted cover. And it had a companion book, which I cannot find my copy of, which came out at the same time, which is The Further Adventures of the Joker, also with the Kyle Baker cover, if I remember correctly. And these came out shortly after the 1989 Batman movie, and that's why it was Batman and the Joker stories. And of course, these stories had a host of authors writing these stories. See here, I had Henry Slitzer, I don't know who, Joe R. Lansdale, Max Allan Collins, who is detective mystery writer and comic writer. Wrote the Dick Tracy comic strip for several years. Oh, it's even got Isaac Asimov as a Batman story in here. But he, from what I understand, he refused to do Batman, the traditional Batman. He had his own concept. Now, these stories were, no illustrations, were from different eras. You have some Golden Age stories, Silver Age, all the eras, Bronze Age to the to contemporary, in all this series. And now the thing is with the further adventures of the Joker, if I remember correctly, because it's been years since I've read these, they were all Joker stories, not necessarily featuring the Batman, but they were stories of the Joker. And this has various villains, some original, some not. Then, in a couple years later, the Batman Returns movie came out, and that featured the villains of the Penguin and Catwoman, and had 2 more books. And that was the Further Adventures of Batman, volumes 2 and 3, featuring the Penguin and Catwoman. And the reason it says it was volumes 2 and 3 is because they had, the first one was the Further Adventures of Batman. The other was the Further Adventures of Joker. So these are all Batman stories, but they feature Catwoman and probably some other villains as well. There's a beautifully painted cover. You see Batman. Kind of looks like he's been kind of taken out by the Catwoman here. And this is from '93 with a cover painting by Joe DeVito. And again, whole host of writers. And some of them are some comic writers, some science fiction writers, and the like. Now, unfortunately, I can't find my Penguin either. If I still have them, I can't imagine when I unloaded some books some years ago. I don't think I got rid of them, but I may have, even unintentionally. But they didn't just do the Batman stuff. Here we have also from 1993, The Further Adventures of Superman. Martin H. Greenberg editing. Again, a host of authors doing the writing. What was kind of unique in this one is that they all tied together in some way. The story themselves didn't, but there was a wraparound sequence written for the beginning and the end. And it was like all the stories were like covering through the multiverse. And again, this had different eras and types of Superman. And it was like some kind of crystal, if I remember correctly. And each facet of the crystal had a different Superman story in it, as part of the framing sequence. But that's not all. And this is also, I presume, it looks like another DeVito painting. It actually didn't have artist credit in here for it, but it sure looks like DeVito. And then the same year, 93, had The Further Adventures of Wonder Woman. And I guess they did this because they had all the success with the Batman Further Adventures of. And of course, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are known as the Trinity of DC. Again, different variety of creators, of authors. And again, this is also a DeVito cover. This one actually identified them. And it sure looks the same. But then, in addition, Unfortunately, this is a really, really rough copy. I've got a better copy, but I have not been able to find it. This is the one that I used to keep in my car just to have some reading material available if I needed it. So this is Dick Tracy, The Secret File. But it's basically the further adventures of America's Master Detective in 16 all-new stories with this cover illustration by Dick Locker, who at the time was the cartoonist working on the Dick Tracy comic strip, and Max Allan Collins was the writer. So they share co-editing credits, and Max Collins actually wrote one of the stories in here, and this was in conjunction with the release. This is from 1990, in conjunction with the release of the Dick Tracy movie from that time. And they had others like this. They did the only one I can remember offhand really is a Further Adventures type anthology of Robin Hood. I think it did say Further Adventures of Robin Hood. I don't know. But then in 1995, they compiled all those Batman books, Further Adventures of, into these two. I've got to adjust here. Into these two books, hardback books. You can see the cover paintings come together to form one image. And this these cover paintings were done by, what was his name? Steve Stanley, who I'm not familiar with. And it reproduced, and I'm not sure for sure that this reproduced reprinted the stories from the Further Adventures of the Joker or not, but I'm just assuming they do. And the stories here are not necessarily segregated into the original books that they appeared in, but they are the reprints of those, edited by Tales of the Batman, edited by Martin H. Greenberg, and they are the same stories that appeared in those other books. These are all some really cool reading, especially if you happen to not be into reading the comics, but you like the characters, or if you just don't want to be seen reading a comic book in public or something, but somehow a paperback is more respectable. I don't get it, though. I don't care. So that is all I've got this time. Please like, share, subscribe, and share this with your friends who book fans, science fiction fans, people who are just happen to be Batman fans but don't read the comics. That works great. And remember, comics are art.